Ocean City real estate market has been crazy this past month and a half. And in today's video, we're going to do a 2-for-1. We're going to recap what happened in August and look at what's happened so far in September to bring you up to speed because things have definitely heated up in many ways. And we're going to get into it right now. One of the biggest pieces of news, or at least the expected news, was around the Federal Reserve finally cutting the prime rate for the first time in almost a year. And they did just that. They did cut by 0.25%. And depending on who you spoke to, you may have heard rates will drop, mortgage rates will come down. You may have heard pause, they may do nothing, they may go up. And it's that latter school that is always correct when it comes to these things. So rates actually have ticked up since yesterday when the Fed cut rates officially. The expectations of the Fed cutting rate were already baked into what we saw happening with mortgage rates for the first half of September, which was a downward trend. But now that that has happened, and now that Jerome Powell has come out and forecast a little bit more on what may be coming down the road as far as additional cuts, investors and bond markets as a whole are just not sure. They're not too bullish. They think the economy may be in trouble a little bit and bonds are selling off. Shout out to Kate Logue with M&T Bank for catching me up on everything that's happened today because, again, this is a volatile situation and it's important to work with people who can not only track it, but explain it in a way that makes sense too. So mortgage rates, where they go, nobody knows. But again, we're still in the low sixes, which is where we've been for the better part of the last couple of months. Now, inventory has gone up. From August 1st, we're up 5%. From the beginning of this month, we're actually up 14% because inventory took a dive down at the end of August, which again, we didn't get to talk about in the August recap video. That's why we're doing it now. So there is a bit of a roller coaster going on. Now, that is not abnormal. Typically, as we approach this time of year, inventory starts to speed up and increase. We've seen just that. We'll talk about the new listings that have gone through the roof in September. We're on pace for the best month since October of 2021 in terms of new listings hitting the market. Now, time will tell if we actually hit that mark or not, but so far, so good. That's why if you have been looking, if you are looking to buy and you've seen more properties coming to market, it's not just your imagination. But the counterpoint to that is normally we see a drop off in homes going under contract in September compared to August, but that does not appear to be the case so far. We're on pace to essentially match what we saw in August, which would be a 20% increase from last September. So again, this market is hot. And anecdotally, I've onboarded several new buyers over the last week and a half. I got a couple listings up and live now too. So things, not just in my world, have sped up, but again, the data doesn't lie here, and things are certainly moving a little bit more quickly than I had expected. Now, prices, condos continue to go up, and I've heard of a stat getting floated around by a few people, whether it was in a newsletter that somebody sent out, I'm not entirely sure, saying that condo prices are up 20% year over year in Ocean City. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but the short version is they are definitely up. They are not up 20% based off of how I track the data. If that may have been cherry picked, it's possible. But by and large, we're not seeing that strong of an increase among the condo sector, and single family home prices have leveled out here, which is good. Now, new listings, again, I want to focus on this for a minute. You see that upward swing here to the right as we get into what is now September. And that is not normal. We do see an increase normally from August to September, but not this much. What the bottom line is, quite frankly, I'm not sure. Anecdotally, I have seen a lot of buyers who own properties in Ocean City that are trying to buy and upgrade into something else. So could that be what a lot of this is coming from, a lot of this activity? It is, I think. Those home sale contingencies, once again, are tough to get accepted. So a lot of people are getting ahead of that and trying to get their home under contract first before buying their next one. So I do think that that plays a role in explaining some of that additional activity that we've seen on the listing side. But again, as I mentioned, with homes going under contract, we have an upward trend going basically throughout the year. And normally we see a little bit of a roller coaster here where it starts to dip down in September. And that may very well be the case, just at an increased level compared to the last couple of years. But so far so good. There's nothing that I see here that scares me away on either side of the fence. If you are considering selling or buying, the market is very, very strong. And closed sales, we've had a couple good months here. A lot still to come from last month before I can finalize some of the numbers, but it's close enough where you'll see that reflected in some of these charts, what happened in August. But single family homes, the months of inventory and the overall inventory as a whole, what's available for sale, has dropped substantially. This time last year, we had roughly 85 single family homes for sale. Right now, we have 55. And that is not a 1 month anomaly. It's been trending down over time, whereas in years past, we would see that single family inventory coming up as well. So, really, a lot of our gain is in the condo sector, not in the single family sector. I'll talk more about this at the end, but with single family prices leveling out, I think that's short lived. And again, we'll get to why here in a little bit. Median sale price again has leveled out. I explained this in the last few videos, but I'm not worried about this little wave we have going on. I do not expect that that should mean prices are going to start to come down. In fact, I think it's going to lead to the opposite. Days on market are actually coming down a little bit. Nothing, crazy, but we are seeing things move faster here. And over to the condo sector again, more of the same here on months of inventory, very, very steady. So despite having an increased level of inventory, the fact that so many are going under contract has kept this where it has been for quite a while now. And that's going to continue to lead to prices, both median and mean, trickling upward slowly. It's about as consistent as I've ever seen a chart like that. Same story here, days on market. We are trending down a little bit slowly, and that is an indicator that the market is once again picking up steam. And speed reflects all of this in a nutshell as well. Basically, how many new listings do we need to see one home go under contract? Typically, we are just under two, around 1.75, 1.8. And I don't have a chart for this, but we look at every single year what that speed is if you had to sum it up on an annual level. And this is the first time we've cracked under 1.8 in several years. We've been in the 1.8 to 1.9 range the last 2 years when the market did slow down a little bit, and now we are seeing things pick up. Now, I want to talk a lot here, so bear with me. I'm going to keep it concise if I can and impactful for you so you know how to take this context I'm about to give you and act on it. So, mortgage rates going down is obviously a good thing. That will expand your budget, that will make things less expensive. But the flip side of that is usually demand starts to increase as well. So, you can never time these things perfectly to say, hey, I'm going to strike at the perfect home when nobody else is looking at it because mortgage rates haven't come down yet, but they will soon. It's impossible to do. But what I have seen again this month have been new buyers coming into the fold. These are people who are new to the market primarily, not necessarily who are looking to upgrade, though there are some of those as well. So I do anticipate that, yes, there are people getting excited about these reduced mortgage rates, no matter how small the change may be. It still counts, and it does matter. It has an impact. So they did cut rates in the Fed meeting. There may be more coming this fall, but again, I'm not going to future cast too much on that. I've been consistent about this the whole year that I think we're going to stay in the low sixes, plus or minus a little bit. I see no reason to expect otherwise at this point. Now, inventory increasing this much is very normal. We usually see that increase through for the next 30 days or so before holiday season starts coming up. Inventory starts trending down. All activity usually starts trending down. But I've been adamant about this for years. It's what I call deal season. That's where we see the least amount of competition as a buyer. And we're able to, through many, many means, figure out who the real sellers are versus those who are just floating a number out there and saying, hey, if I get this, I would sell. Again, you're not going to necessarily see all of that come through price reductions. Not everybody takes that approach. Some they are willing to give, but they don't want to, quote unquote, put some blood in the water, right? If you cut your price too much or too quickly, people may now smell your motivation. They don't want to be that obvious. But through the networks that I have, trends that I follow, things of that nature, I usually have the ability to sniff that out. So if you are looking to buy, definitely reach out. Again, I'm excited for this time of year. Every year, it's when the best values are had. But again, you have to make sure you're working with somebody who's going to be able to guide you appropriately. So with inventory, again, we should see it decrease down through the end of the year, and then the cycle will likely repeat again next year that we've seen this year and last. But again, I'm always hesitant to future cast too far out because there's just too many variables. And speaking of that, right, with prices, there's so much that impacts these, whether it's rates, whether it's economic factors, it could be the stock market, whether it's climbing upwards or takes a hit. Everybody's motivated differently. So it's impossible to just put your finger on one thing that, hey, if this happens, then that. It's not that simple. So this becomes an individual decision, obviously, for each and every one of you out there. But as far as single family homes, if you are looking for one of those, right, inventory is as its lowest that it's been in a while. And I should expect that that's going to result in prices creeping back up again for those, right? It's a supply and demand issue. Everybody still wants a single family home. It's just a matter of being able to afford what is currently out there. And as more affordable options hit the market, they're still getting pounced on, some with multiple offers. So speed again is becoming important. And during the holiday season, during deal season, that's where maybe you don't have to act quite as fast. But if you are able to, if you're able to get down here and see a home on short notice, that could be the difference between you getting the home that you've been looking for days, months, or years, and maybe having to wait another year or two before the right opportunity comes along where the timing works for you in your life. So my advice to you is very, very simple. If you're looking to buy, now is the time to not only get yourself educated, whether it's through this channel and the information I provide here, or through reaching out, right? I can guide you one-on-one directly based off of your goals. The sooner the better, because as these opportunities come up, if you're not ready, and a lot of this takes some getting used to, some of the pricing that exists now. And I've talked about this with clients over the past couple of weeks. What I saw 6 months ago as a fluke, right? I'm just going to pick on not a particular property, but let's say a 3-bed, 2-bath in a duplex that sells for 1.2 million. That is not necessarily near the beach. Let's say it's on West Avenue or Asbury. That was a fluke, right? That was a good 50 to $100,000 more than the comps. Now, 2 months later, we had a few more of those. A few months later, now there have been five, six, seven of those. Those aren't flukes anymore. That's now the market. And we are seeing records continuing to be set. And again, it starts as a fluke. And maybe you get a little bit of leeway before the market really accepts that that is real. But we are seeing more of that. So being prepared, if you are able to come to terms with the realities of buying and owning here, the sooner you can do that, the earlier on you're able to get on board the train that continues going upwards. And again, logic, it defies logic, right? You would think that at some point something has to give. Most of the country, or a lot of the country, I should say, outside the Northeast East specifically, has been in that downward trend for the last year and a half or so. But not us, right? Flatlining in the single family market may be as good as it gets from a buying standpoint. And if you are looking to sell, right, now is an interesting time for sure. If you are willing to price a home appropriately and it is in show ready shape and in good condition, odds are you're still going to be able to get a very solid and in some cases a premium price for your home. If you are wanting to test the market, now is not necessarily the time to do that because your days on market are going to accumulate while we get feedback, while you weigh your options, and now you're sitting through the winter. And then again, agents like myself will be picking at it once deal season is upon us, and you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So again, strategy is always individual, but by and large, right, if you are listing now, ideally you are looking to close by the end of the year, and you'll find plenty of realistic, ready, willing, and able buyers who would have interest in your property as long as it's priced appropriately. If you are looking to move into another home and you're in that Ocean City special category of I don't need to do this, but I would if, listing now at a higher than normal number maybe isn't the worst idea. So again, it's a case by case basis. I'm always happy to talk you through it. So it's going to be a very interesting rest of the month. Excited to recap everything that's going to happen over the second half here in a couple weeks. But I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up below. And like I said, I'm running out of room. I think I could probably take on two more clients before I have to start involving my team of 5 agents that I have with me here to handle some of the inbound traffic. But if you want to work together, give me a shout. All my information is here on the screen as you see, as well as down in the description. Do not hesitate to reach out. But as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.